Victoria's pandemic bill passes Parliament. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here and welcome to another episode of Realpolitik. Grab your stein of coffee because, well, Victoria's pandemic legislation has now passed into law. And many people are quite frustrated and disappointed, although frankly they shouldn't be surprised considering, well, all of the other pandemic bills and legislation found a way to get into law. At very least, some people became politically active for the first time. So now they're going to start paying attention. And there are some benefits to having this in place. At least there's oversight from independent people to what was going on before, guys. Okay, just have a look at the emergency powers, what they got away with. So, and if Andrews uses this to build his empire, well, hopefully people will think smartly and vote him out at the next election. Although he does seem to have a lot of support right now. So let's have a look at this. So, Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews has secured controversial pandemic powers. The proposed legislation cleared Victoria's upper house and finally passed the Legislative Assembly, where Labor has a majority, just after 7 p.m. on Thursday to become law. The law shifts responsibility for declaring pandemics from health officials to the Premier. Mr. Andrews said the law would give the state a framework to keep Victoria open and safe. We need a set of rules because this pandemic is not over, he said. In order to protect our staff, in order to protect the vulnerable, and in order to keep us safe and keep us open, we have to recognise in everything that we do that this is not over. The government was forced to make various changes to the bill, including reducing penalties and cutting release times for pandemic decisions. Mr. Andrews said the laws, which will replace state of emergency powers, were necessary. There are still things that have to be done, rules that need to be in place. None of them will be on for a moment longer than they need to be, he said. We've worked very hard back and forth, line by line. So I thought we'd go for, we'll have a look at some of the comments that are appearing on news.com in response to this, everyone. So Daniel Andrews will win in a landslide. This opposition is a freak right-wing minority. Now, here's the thing. Dan Andrews has over 60% approval rating now. It's down, but he still has a high approval rating. Now, I don't know why they're calling the protesters freak right-wing or the opposition a freak right-wing minority. You go to any of these protests, you see it's a complete hodgepodge. It is a complete hodgepodge. Sure, you got a few right-wingers there, but you also got like super hardcore left socialists. You know, you've got rampant communists, people screaming capitalism is the root of all evil. There's a a selection of people who I would say are professional protesters that just go against the narrative all the time. And then you've got normal people whose businesses and livelihoods have been destroyed and who feel like maybe there should have been a different path to deal with this and who feel like their voices aren't getting heard. So, from Micro, the end of Victoria as we know it, no longer free. Just one word from Dictator Dan and off to jail we go. No ifs, buts, or whys. Well, it's a bit dramatic, but, you know, time to vote him out. Hopefully we'll see that. Your subconscious. Protests won't be over, and Dan's days are well and truly numbered. Yeah, see, that's the problem. It may not be. It may not be. So the Premier can, after seeking CHO advice, declare a pandemic responses such as restrictions of movement and lockdown. Well, see, they already could do this with the emergency powers. The aim is to keep everyone safe and to actually reduce lockdowns, he says. All right, makes sense, right? I mean, Dan wants to reduce lockdown, so he transfers the power to him. Sounds a bit H-guy-ish to me. Those who voted for this bill should be ashamed of themselves. Wow, so Dan... So Dawn, if one is a taxi driver. Okay, I don't know what he's talking about there. All premiers, not just Dan, get these powers. This just puts Victoria into line with the rest of the state. Nothing sinister here. Coco. These aren't just powers for the Andrews government, but for future administrations too. And if these laws pass without resistance, what future measures will be passed next? Now there, Coco's worried about the slippery path, perhaps. Great, a bill that allows the Premier unlimited power to control. Welcome to 84. See, so there are people who are concerned, and I understand why. I think some of them are probably a bit misfounded, but I don't blame them for not trusting Dan. Not at all. So, guys, what do you reckon? What do you think's going on here? Let's have a bit of a talk. Now, there are going to be people who are disheartened, who are disappointed that this has happened, who probably thought that the protests might actually make an impact, and in a way they have. They've had to change the legislation that they want to get through. Hopefully, the large number of people's made an effort there, but I wouldn't use this to break your resolve if you want to push for political change, if you want to push for less government involvement in your lives. This is just a stepping stone in a path, in a long journey, guys. This takes time. That you've got, frankly, you've got a culture that's attuned to government obedience here in Australia. You've got a heritage that's based on not the liberty movement in America, but the Chartist movement here. You've got Benthamism, which is just hard ingrained in Australian culture, and you've got an education system that you've got to overcome. It's going to be a long process, guys. Don't lose faith. Keep it up. But just remember, don't be surprised if it's going to be a bit of a journey. Okay? Take care. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this one. But check out this last video I did about what's happening in Germany and the requirements to be vaccinated before you can get euthanasia. Now, it seems like a morbid joke, but I understand it's to help, well, the people administering the poison to you. Awesome world. Take care.